Welcome back. I know it's been a couple of days, but it's been a scorcher in Louisiana. It was so hot. The only thing you could do was take care of whatever business that you had and get back inside. To a cold glass of lemonade or tea or whatever you were sipping on. It was just unbearable for the last couple of days, and it was record-breaking heat. I heard in Lafayette. Whatever it was, it felt like 150 all over the state. And not to mention, there are wildfires in Louisiana. I mean, I never thought I would ever see wildfires in the state of Louisiana to that magnitude, where it's burned down 15,000 acres at this point. But thank God nobody has been killed. There's been no fatalities or anything like that, so that's a blessing. Two full weeks later, and this is the only channel that is talking about the relationship that the Tuouys had with the studio. The studio meaning their daughter's husband's family. 2 weeks later, nobody is talking about this but me. I find that extremely odd. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the blackout that was had on Dana White. When Dana White, full fist punched his wife, and one of the guys from, I don't know if it was ESPN or if it was another network, but said that we can't talk about this. They told us we can't talk about it. I'm wondering if this is the same situation that is going on with this Blindside story. I should not be the only channel that is talking about the Tuouys and Alcon. I've seen publications draw parallels for less. It's almost like it is a known fact, because it is a known fact, that the Tuouys have a relationship with Alcon, and nobody is talking about it. Nobody but me. Let's talk about two things being true at once, because two things can be true at once. Listen at this comment. The Tuouys took in a homeless kid, Michael Orr, gave him his own room, a warm bed, fed him, hired tutors to get his GPA up from a 0.075. He graduated high school, got a full scholarship to Ole Miss, then a number 1 draft pick in the NFL, where he made $34 million, plus more millions from endorsement deals. Yes, he really got effed over. Here's the thing. Two things can be true at once. That's not in dispute. That's not the question. Whether or not they took him in and provided, shelter for him and a safe space. That's not the question. The question is, did other things happen? That's the question. This is not a what about that kind of situation. What about this, that, and the other? It is understood that they took him in, fed him, clothed him, assisted him with college and tutors, and a multitude of other things. That's not the question. The question is, did other things occur as well? And you don't get to do something to a kid because you help them. You don't get to do something that you would never allow anybody to do to your kids because you helped him when he needed it. We're talking about a child. A child. Two things can be true at once. Did they help him? Yes. Did they do something, in my opinion, that they shouldn't have? Yes. When we are talking about family, there are a lot of things that can look one way, but it's totally something else. For example, if my sister-in-law comes to me and say, listen, I need a new car, but the bank won't finance me. And I say, I'll do it. I go, I get the car. She's paying the note and the insurance. technically I own the car, but who is reaping the benefits from the car? She is, not me. Do you see how things can look one way and they are another when you are family? And guess what? I don't have any problem with Molly Smith, Black Label Media, Alcon Entertainment, Frederick Smith, FedEx, whomever producing a movie. I have no issue with that. Production studios, that's their job, to produce movies. The issue that I took with it was when SJ went on to Barstool. And what did he say? Well, he's sued, meaning Michael Orr, he's sued the studios before. And he said, I guess it was Alcon. Like, he didn't even know what the studio was, knowing full well that the studio is his sister's family. That her father-in-law bankrolled the whole thing. That Alcon Entertainment, in my opinion, is Frederick Smith. Molly Smith, executive, produced it. I don't think there's anything wrong with a father supporting his daughter. There's nothing wrong with that. The issue I had was them pretending like Michael Orr is out for blood because he's broke. Michael Orr is so far in left field, that nobody knows why he's doing this. Come on, y'all. You can't tell me that you wouldn't be pissed if you found out that your fake sister, who's been smiling in your face for years, since high school, when you find out that her family, the family that she married into, her in-laws, that they made the bulk of the money on your life story and nobody told you about it, that your name, image, and likeness has been sold, but your siblings, your fake siblings, their name, image, and likeness hasn't been sold. You can't tell me that you wouldn't be pissed and it wouldn't make you wonder, was there some sort of backroom deal made here? What else don't I know? That's how I would feel. What else don't I know? So I just kept digging and I just kept finding, thing after thing after thing. And I'm like, one coincidence I think is normal, but there were just so many. This weekend I'll have, some extra hours in my day. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to make, I have to put it all together. It has to be cohesive so you can understand what I'm seeing. And if I'm crazy, don't hesitate to tell me in the comments. If you think, oh, no, you're just way off with this. But I don't think I am. And let's not be naive. People depend on you to be naive, not being able to critically think about things and to just take whatever they say, as law. The Tuouys didn't tell us that they were, donating money to their foundation, Making It Happen Foundation, only to backdoor that money so it could come right on out the front door to them. This is not my opinion. This is fact. This is per their own IRS records. There were years where they donated money to themselves. Money came through the back door only to run right on out the front door, right into the pockets of the board members. Now, if you're wondering, how does, a volunteer position that you're not being compensated, how does money go back into the pockets? Well, I'll tell you how. If there's administrative fees, program fees, fundraising fees, XYZ fees. 1 year alone, there was $172,000 worth of fees. But nobody's getting paid. Explain how there's so much money going out of a foundation. Who is it going to if nobody's being compensated? You see how two things can be true at once? Do you see what I'm talking about? Two things can be true at once because Daddy Tuohy, Sean Tuohy, Leanne Tuohy, S.J. Tuohy, Collins Tuohy, Deborah the aunt that, drafted those documents because she was the attorney that drafted that conservatorship. Sue Mitchell, who, has partnered with Leanne Tuohy on some things after The Blind Side. They were all on the board, uncompensated. Yet, I mean, it took, I don't know if you guys remember the graphic at the very beginning, and it said 10,000. I think it might have been $0.96. Do you know that it took $16,000 to give away 10? 1 year alone. That's a lot of administrative muscle, isn't it? To write 2 checks. Wow. So knock yourself out if you want to believe what the Tuouys are talking about. If you want to take their word for everything that they're saying, knock yourself out. It takes a special kind of fake, in my opinion, to go all around the country telling the world that they adopted a child that they didn't. That's a special kind of fake to me. And it also takes a special kind of collaboration, in my opinion, to make a child feel so comfortable, a child that was already broken, make him feel so comfortable that, and so appreciative, in my opinion, that for so many years, he wouldn't even speak the truth about them. Because I'm sure there's a lot of things that he, is aware of, but he didn't expose them. It took a long time. Sometimes you have to process things and you have to come to like a space where you're like, you know what? I know that there will be a lot of darts thrown towards me. I know that, I know there will be a lot of criticism. I know people won't understand this, because it's so bizarre, but I have to do this. I know that has to be painful. I know it has to be painful because privately it would be painful. So you know what it is publicly. But remember, keep in mind, this family claimed that they loved him like a son. If they truly loved him like a son, they would have protected him the way a son should be protected. They would have never allowed Aunt Deborah to sit there and negotiate things for them and their children and not him. I understand why Alcon did what they did. Any studio, let's take Alcon out of it. The studios want to maximize their profits. That's their job. That's what they should do. I understand why the studio did what they did. That's their job, to maximize their profits. But your family is not the studio, and they shouldn't have treated you like you were a product unless they felt like you were. That's my opinion. You were always seen as a product. He was always seen as a product. I listened to a major voice in sports news say, well, listen, these people were already wealthy. It wasn't about money. How do you know that? People that have money want more.